most beautiful experience we had last night. For a moment in our life, we forgot where we were. We didn't know exactly where we were, but it was something there that never even came to mind where we were. Even the time didn't exist while we were there, inside that lodge. So leave your ignorance there. Leave your anger there. Leave your hostility. Leave it all there. Leave your prayer there. And come out a new person again and go on in life. Try again. But there are many that are playing with it today. Playing with the sweat lodge, playing with fasting, playing with the sun dance. When you go into that lodge, you better not forget what you said in there, because they don't forget. We can put a beating on someone and say, that's straight now, that's okay, it's finished.
The third afternoon
Not them.
period is now underway. Movement will cease. The third afternoon rec period is now underway. Movement will cease.
They take lives. That's how they teach us a lesson. That's how they open our eyes. And I told people, many of them, said, look around, look what you're doing. You got hardly nothing left. You still can't see what you're doing? You're just too busy blaming everything else. Look what you're doing. That's an easy excuse, an easy way out to blame somebody else. We've been doing that all our lives. Oh, that Indian affairs. Oh, that mean white man. Oh, that dirty, rotten judge. Oh, that policeman. Oh, that. Yeah, I can go on all day blaming. But I forgot somebody. I forgot me. When I blamed me, I couldn't find anybody to blame. That's right. And that's the truth.
One in 4 of Canada's Native people will spend some part of their life in prison. While Native people are only 5% of Canadian society, inside the walls of the nation's prison system, they account for half or more of the total inmate population. After release, 8 out of 10 return to incarceration. Since the earliest days of our prison system, non-Native inmates have had religious freedom and a support system of priests and chaplains. For Native inmates, access to elders and spiritual ceremony is recent and remains a continuing struggle. CSC, Correctional Services Canada, has sanctioned Native cultural programs, with each institution following its own course and applying the directives.
Just turn around, please.
For many Native inmates, prison provides their first contact with elders, their first exposure to the spirituality of their people. But reaching the inmates is only half the process. The need to sensitize prison administration and correction staff is equally important to the elders. Bobby Woods, from Saskatchewan, is one of the elders bringing the message of the pipe behind these walls. The Native Culture Program and the visiting elders seek to give the inmates something to go out with.
Door, please, Native Elder.
There was a lot of pain in there. You've seen it every day. And you kind of wonder, psychologically, I used to think, am I going to make it out? I felt this way. I lived in danger every day of the time I was there. Because you could never know from one day to another what was going to happen to you, either from the guards or from the inmates.
An inmate that comes in the door, he's scared. His first time, he is scared stiff because he's heard the stories and everything else. And the inmate says it's very stressful doing time. Very stressful doing time because we don't know when someone's going to come up and stab us. And we as guards say the same thing.
We did straight time. We didn't get no time off. And we were totally at the mercy of the guards. Because if a guard didn't like you, he was on your ass steady, man. There was this constant psychological bullshit. It was just constant. And that was from the time you woke up till the time you went to bed. And then, of course, you had to make up your mind. Are you going to take it or are you going to fight back? And if you fought back, you know you lost.
Whoever enforces things, whether it be inmates or whether it be staff, they're the ones that have the power. Strong arming for canteen or strong arming for sexual favors.
One of the things I was worried about is some big faggot grabbing me, you know, like I was a young kid. And it usually happened to a lot of young kids because they couldn't defend themselves. When you say open population, 700 men walking around there, and half of these guys are beasts, you know, they're animals. I came back from the exercise yard and there's these chocolate bars and coffee in my bar, and I thought, hell, he sent them to me. And I asked him, he said, did you send me the coffee and the chocolate bars and stuff like all the goodies? And he started laughing at me. Somebody likes your ass.
There is no more paddle. I've seen it where a man has been spanked. It's humiliating, but the corrective measures this accomplishes is tremendous.
It was so dehumanizing. You know, I'd rather get shot. Your hands are tied over and your legs are tied. Your bare ass is over here. And the son of a bitch and guard standing there, one with a paddle in his hand. And here's these two little Indian kids, 16 and 18, stripped down. One had 4 paddles and the other one had 8. The younger one, after about 3 hits, he passed out. I watched this and I became hateful. A lot of us Native people, they just totally broke down our spirit. Even when we tried to better ourselves, the administration would fight it. So you develop the character. That's what happened to me. Once you go in, you come out a total different man. You come out totally with a different attitude, and it's hard to get out of that.
Great Spirit, Grandfather, Creator of this universe, we come to you this evening, Grandfather, with our prayers of thanks, our prayers of sorrow, and our prayers of hope. Do not forget us, your children, for the road that we walk is difficult. The burdens that we carry are many. The load upon our minds and upon our spirits are heavy. Do not forget us, Grandfather. Our tradition, our values are not a religion. They are a way of life. We don't just come to smoke the pipe and come and talk. No, we come here to share. In the Indian way, many of the old people always said, there are no 10 commandments that you must follow. No, there is only one. And that is the ability to share with one another.
There was something that John mentioned that reminded me of when I was out there. It reminded me of something that my mom made for me. And my mom only has one eye. She's getting close to losing her other eye. Blind. Getting blind. She made me these mitts. They were handmade. The top part was, the fur was beaver. Middle part was mink. And the hide was moose. My dad got the moose. She did a lot of beadwork. A special gift. When I was out there, I lost them because I was drinking. They're gone for forever. And I wanted to treasure them. But I know my mom is going to ask me one of these days, so what do you do with those mitts that I made you? What am I going to say? I like to tell the truth. I don't know, it will hurt my mom.
Sometimes we have to be made over. We have to be put through the fire again before we suddenly realize where we are in life. You will be a different person when you walk through that gate, through that door. I hope and pray that the Great Spirit and His helpers will always walk beside you, in front of you, and in the back of you. Oh.
Are going to get right into our workshop is the kind of knowledge that we don't normally talk about because we know very little about it to talk about it.
I know the kind of life they're living.
We don't learn.
And it's
very
just a
much
total
about
game they're
these
playing.
things. It's
They're not
because
serious
in our
about
textbooks
themselves,
in school,
trying to change,
we don't
to be a
have
better
very many
person,
people left
to be
that know
somebody
about
that can contribute towards life and
culture
towards society,
and about
towards their family.
It's a fairly new kind of knowledge. It's only in the last 15 years that we really have taken notice about spirituality. The confusion came in when they said our culture was lost. Our culture was never lost. Our culture was here always. It was us as humans became lost. I started out knowing nothing. I didn't know nothing about Indian ways. I was ashamed to be Indian. I got tired of what they called me. Savage, heathen, lazy, good-for-nothing, drunken Indian, Tonto, chief. It offended me. And I got mad, I got angry. I wanted to rebel, I wanted to fight. But I couldn't win.
If I didn't have my Indian culture, I'd just say fuck it, you know. I did it, big fucking deal. But then when I remember my culture, I think, you know, that's something that's, it was a wrong thing to do. My lifestyle before I came from here was very unstable. It was very unsettled. I was doing a lot of stuff that was illegal. I figured I could get away with it. And I never really thought of it. All my values that I was brought up with, I just sort of left them on reserve when I left, when I went to the city.
With your daughter? Yeah, this one here. 2 years old? Yeah. Small, just that they make her look bigger.
My life is changing when I'm out there. I don't know what to do and where to go. So I started drinking. Then when after I boost all my money down, then I feel down. Then again, that's all I have to do. Then I think again, then, oh, I better go back to jail, go get the things I was planning. Forgot them, man.
I always asked for spiritual guidance. I always asked for direction, right? And they always gave me direction, but a lot of times the direction, I took that direction on my own because I forgot part of my spirituality. I forgot what, you know, what got me out. A lot of us, we come back, right?
I had to learn the same way as you are, because I've been where you are now. 27 years I wasted trying to go around impressing people. I was somebody, tough guy, big time pusher, selling dope to undercover Mounties to get 10 years. Stupid, I thought I was smart. Big wheel on the corner.
The reality of being in this institution kind of hits back at you when you go back to your cell when they close that door again, right? And that's why I go to the sweat. That's where my strength comes in, to be able to carry on once again.
This is helping them very much, an awful lot of them. An awful lot of them have lost their identity. But it seems like a pity, but this is where they've come to learn who they are. And you'd be surprised how many guys, when I started Sacred Circle here, we had to start from square one. Like, what is sweetgrass? Why this? Why that? And on we went. So we learned together. When you live in an environment like this place here, I strongly believe that you build up an awful lot of frustration and resentment inside you, you know. And having something like this that's traditional and it's theirs, an awful lot of that is released.
Before I found my culture, well, I was a Christian for a couple of years, but that didn't go down. They were very negative towards the native culture. They were very, very negative towards that. And I was lost, you know, I did a lot of stupid things, a lot of foolish things. I had no respect for my parents, no respect for myself. Like, I was screaming for help. I was asking for people to help me, but I didn't come right out and say it. So I just went about my life and I did what I guess what I wanted to do, and I didn't think about anybody. And I ended up coming to jail. I got drunk one night. I broke into somebody's house. I robbed somebody, assaulted the people in the house. And I can't remember. I woke up in jail, and I was thinking, what am I here for? What did I do last night? What did I do? And then I went into court. I just stood there. I didn't say nothing. I just looked at the judge. He said 7 years. And everything was just so quiet. I just heard my mom just sucking her breath. And then it hit me, you know, how much time I was really doing. It really hit me. To me, that's my life, you know. A whole big shot of my life is gone. I hurt myself more than they did by sending me here, because it's all inside my head, my thoughts, what I think, what I feel.
A person has to learn to begin to forgive himself before you can keep that spirituality. If you do not forgive yourself, then how can you possibly go back into life with continuously judging yourself? You know, there's enough people around to judge you without you judging yourself. Therefore, you have to forgive yourself, you know, because you've paid your debt to society by being here, you know.
A lot of people today, you know, everywhere, in different joints. Give me this, give me that. Hey, you're not in a position for give me. Looking back in those 27 years of being in and out of jail, I think back of the time sitting in the pen. It was hard at first because we didn't get cooperation. We had a lot of ideas of what we wanted to do, but they didn't see that it was important. We wanted to do things inside to occupy our time, to be more positive, to be more creative, and to do things in a learning way about searching this knowledge that we heard about, culture, native spirituality. It had just started. It was just in the talking stages. We didn't get permission yet to have a gathering of guys more than 5. Anything over 5 was a threat to the institution. It was just at the point in time when the silent system was beginning to phase out. They rang the bell and that's when you talked. And then when they rang the bell again, that's when you stopped. Today it's different. We have a sweat lodge there now. We have pipes there now. We have elders coming in here now. So we've come a long way. But there was a lot of guys who did time in the hole for us to have what we're having now. A lot of guys lost a lot of good time over the things that we have now. A lot of guys.
Many of the brothers come to me from other institutions. They come with different rules and ideas. And they may not like what I have to share because I'm strict. Some of them have many things, more than I have earned. They've got them in prison. I don't know how they earned them. So I tell them not to fight over these things. Don't cause bad feelings over these things. Don't tell me you have a right, because you have no right in these prisons, unless you use them in a respectful way, not used to be fighting over. I try to teach them that.
There's a lot of young people out there that don't realize about our culture. It is sad that we have to come here and learn our culture in prisons.
I became an alcoholic when I was about 16-year-old, 17-year-old. I was on my own. And then I got married and I had 2 kids, 2 little girls. And I left them over drinking. And I was very insecure of myself. I was ashamed of who I was, an Indian. I hoboed around country, but I was still boozing heavy. And in my drunken state, I took a life, which I don't remember. And I just served some of my time in PA. It was getting off the streets. Because the people I associated with out there were all junkies or alcoholics and in the street game. So I never really gave myself a chance to get out there and look for these things until I came in here and was sober for a while and started thinking about these things.
If you believe in yourself, if you truly believe in yourself, then we can leave pride. We can leave with dignity. This is what it's all about. When you have pride within you about you, then you've got it made. When you are proud, but when you're ashamed, you can't make it. You will fall apart. You will fall to pieces. And when you have principle, and when you have dignity, and you have pride, you can be a benefit to give to your family, to your community, and to your nation.
I think you may have a starting point with your Native Awareness group here, that you may have a voice now that you're organized, and it's taken you a long time, and now you've got it.
You may be supportive over there, right? That's over there, right? It's got nothing to do with this institution's policy.
We can't really command the institution to do it.
There's a lot of problems here, right? There's a lot of problems. And when there's a high degree of natives in here, that there's low degree of programs, the POs, the CEOs, administration that don't understand native people in that, right?
There are a lot of programs we'd like to propose, but for some reason we can't get any funding.
These guys up here haven't put out a doggone cent for us.
Funds for programs for natives are primarily the responsibility of that institution.
There were times when I came into the institution after I got out, and I brought my pipe in to do a ceremony for the brothers. They took all my stuff and dumped it out and went through it with a fine, thin comb. And what they didn't understand, they were looking at, they want me to explain and to tell them what it was for. They even took my pipe stem and blew through it to see if there's any drugs in the pipe stem. That's the kind of stuff we had to put up with for a long time. Today they have respect. They have learned something about our ways.
In the beginning, the Creator had sent out his thought. His thought went out into the darkness, and it had a feeling sound. But nothing came back. And then he began to create. He created this world, this universe, so that when his thought went out, it came back to him. So that man then becomes his thought. We send it back from our tongue that was given to us to use.
You first come into the system and you see all the natives. And you say, oh, there's another drunken Indian that's screwed up and he's back in jail. And I think a lot of people don't understand, and like here, this course is we're finally learning what brings them to the point which gets them into jail all the time.
I think this is what they've been trying to tell us for years when they come through it. It's like a revolving door, and this is what I think they're trying to tell us. You know, we should, I think it's what everybody should go through this type of course.
How many times have you talked to an inmate when he's screwed up and you're trying to tell him to keep it level and, you know, follow the rules?
He's giving us a
and he
message,
says, you don't
but
understand me.
That's right.
You know, you don't understand me.
You don't understand.
You know, it's, now we're starting to learn.
And they live common law because they know that somewhere in their life they're going to have to go to jail. And when they go to jail, what happens is that they lose their entire family. When they return to the reserve, the woman is no longer waiting for that individual to come home. So the guy has to start all over again. So what's happened is that the Indian person goes through this cycle. You know, welfare, jail, band project, UIC, etc., etc. And what happens is that you have extremely low self-esteem. Most of your inmates that you're working with come from here. Most of your clients would come from this segment of Indian society.
We need to sensitize the people that work in the institutions, because they make it hard sometimes for us to do our work right. We have been waiting a long time to get access to our brothers and sisters inside. And now that opportunity is here, we want to have that time for us to work with the administration, with the inmate, and we will show results that would be very positive.
This is a very new thing inside, where before they used to tear those buildings down and tear them apart, trying to get something.
No sugaman, oligan
no so kaman Olegan no so kaman.
With the sweat lodge and all our different religious programs, we have no problems with those inmates.
It gives inmates a focus, a purpose, and in that way it avoids an awful lot of internal problems and disputes that we would be in if it weren't for the programs.
A native person, all of a sudden he says, I'm getting uptight. Boss, I can't take it. And you ask him, well, do you want to talk about it? And he can't talk to you because you've got the uniform on, because you're white maybe, I don't know.
"10 years ago, there was not an elder. 10 years ago, there was not a sacred circle. 10 years ago, there was not the sweat lodge ceremony held behind these walls." These are all going on now. I mean, these are all positive things that the institution is trying to allow for the guys to really understand themselves.
Nothing is worse for an inmate than to feel that the time is totally lost, that it's a totally negative experience 2, 3, 5 years out of their life. If they feel they're gaining something by it, then I think they feel more of a commitment to the institution. Certainly I think that's true in the Native spirituality area.
In dealing with these guys on a day-to-day basis of the week, you'll notice that they have gained a lot of pride and they've gained a lot of respect for themselves. I have seen a lot of changes to a lot of guys. And the few that you do see come back, you'll still notice the change that maybe the first time around they were angry, very frustrated. As they go through the programs in here, that anger seems to loosen up a bit. The more they spend with the elder, it loosens up a lot more. When they come in for a second time or a third time, if they are unlucky enough to do come back, you'll notice that they're not as angry with the administration or with the system because they have a lot more pride in themselves.
Right here. Here, here. Okay, next one right there. Yeah.
Among the Native people, there's a tremendous respect for any of their spiritual ceremonies, and at no time have they ever violated those in a way that would threaten our security.
I hear guys crying the blues and say, I can't get outside to Mother Earth. It's just touch your wall, brother. And you're touching Mother Earth. There ain't nothing on top of her that doesn't come from her. We're sitting in a circle today. We're replicating something that is natural. Just like this universe. Just like the sun, the moon, and the earth moving in harmony. Never interfering with one another. A circle. And the people looked at that and said, we can't go wrong if we use that natural way. And so they did. There was no conflict among them. There was no jealousy among them. They knew who they were. When they seen a brother, they appreciated him. They loved him. That was their blood. They didn't beat on each other. So when we talk about these teachings, we have something to look at. We have something to go by to remind ourselves Because we do represent that blueprint. We're in there somewhere. And if something there we see that hurts us, that spoils things for us, the only way it'll ever go away is that we got to do something about it. It won't go away on its own. So when I see young men like yourselves, being here, you're wasting time. You're wasting time of life when you could be doing a lot of things that would be much more important than what you're doing here. And so this is what life is all about. It's a journey of making mistakes and correcting them and going on in life.
Inside prison, there's a lot of negativity. It's really hard to cope with that day in and day out. And I really feel like a caring person and understanding after I come out of that sweat lodge. I go back into population and I have a different point of view when I go back to my cell.
All areas, count time, all living, moving, cease, all areas, turning out.
We see these elements, these powers, and one of the most powerful power we see physically is that fire spirit. That fire that's in you, spiritual fire, life. That sacred thing the Creator gave each one of us. The greatest, most important gift besides life is to care for it, to care about yourself as a human being, and to care for the things you have. But to be whole and complete is to know who you are, what you are, and where you came from, and never forget it. The pipe is a way of life. It's not just some tool or some ornament or some piece of wood and rock to make us somebody. It is our life. This pipe is a way of life for the people. It was brought here by the Spirit. And so we got to remember the things we are told, to obey. Anybody can have a pipe. A lot of young men today, a lot of young women today are asking me, can I have a pipe? What are you going to do with it? Why do you want it? Are you going to live by the laws of the pipe? It's hard. You have to prove yourself to that pipe. You have to earn it. And we have a method. We have a way to learn. We have things to do that will give us that understanding. That's the search. That's the knowledge we need. Keep track of the numbers when you put them on. Okay, the rest of the wood, you pile it around here like this, eh? Exactly. Frame's going in now. Now, you keep your leg there. You keep coming down to me, okay? Another guy? Right here. Okay, on this side. Real slow so you don't break it, eh? And if you do it too fast, you come down real slow. Keep coming to me. Keep coming. Coming. Keep coming. Keep coming. Keep coming. Oh yeah, this one. Underneath this one here, over the top. And then bend that over. Go underneath that. Go back towards you a little bit more. Back? Back towards you, yeah.
For the past 7 years, I've been in and out of jails, and I'm getting tired of it. Gotta search for a different lifestyle. And this is what I choose.
When you walk out of there, like I did last night, there wasn't a high that could have touched it. The feeling that I had, physically, mentally. If you don't continue something like this, like it's not going to be very long before the negative will creep back in. Like positive will spread positive. It's very simple.
I thank all of you.
Something special to bring the sweat to the institution. It's bringing life to our people. When I'm out in the street, I follow the sweat. But I fell back somewhere, but I don't know where. And but I'm getting up there again. When I walk out of here, I'll walk out with something special.
Well, the sweat helps you out, following your spiritual ways, right? What you believe in. Good 10 months I've been here already, eh? Doing 21 months. Got a lot of bad feelings built up inside me, eh? Done a lot of time in segregation, eh? Last 5.5 months, that's where I've been. I just came out 2 weeks ago. Back to population. Got a lot of hate inside me still, eh? Lots of stuff to still get rid of. I gotta try and get rid of it before I get out, right?
Since those days, not much have changed. There's still a lot of problems in there. Yes, today it's much more modern, but it's still a jail.